He was born with the blood of kings, and that was his crime. Edward Plantagenet, Earl of Warwick, had a claim to the English throne stronger than the king who ruled it. But in the ruthless world of Tudor politics, that made him too dangerous to live. Locked away in the Tower from boyhood, he would never taste freedom again, and at just 24 years old, the axe would fall. Imagine being born with the blood of kings in your veins, your claim to the throne stronger than the monarch who wears the crown, and knowing that very fact would one day cost you your life. Such was the fate of Edward Plantagenet, the 17th Earl of Warwick, whose brief life became a lesson in the brutal politics of 15th century England. Edward was born on the 25th of February 1475 at Warwick Castle, the only son of George, Duke of Clarence, and Isabel Neville. His sister Margaret had been born 2 years earlier. He was a nephew of King Edward IV, the first Yorkist king, and a cousin to the princes in the Tower. His mother died before he was 2. His father suffered a far darker fate. Accused of treason against his brother, the king, Clarence was executed in 1478. His lands were seized, including those meant for the little boy who had just inherited his father's title. Placed in the wardship of Thomas Grey, Marquess of Dorset, Edward's life was bound to the shifting tides of royal favour. In 1483, he attended the coronation of his uncle, Richard III, and was knighted at the investiture of Richard's son, Edward of Middleham. Some whisper that the prince's death a year later, the king considered Warwick as heir, though Richard's biographers suggest his preference lay with another nephew, John de la Pole, the Earl of Lincoln. By blood, Edward had a stronger claim to the throne than Richard himself, a dangerous fact in an age where the sword could decide claims to kingship. And yet, as the son of a convicted traitor, it is unlikely Warwick could have pressed that claim without bringing ruin upon himself. Later, Tudor writers painted Warwick as simple-minded or even disabled, citing the chronicle Edward Hall's claim that years of isolation left him unable to tell a goose from a capon. But this seems more a comment on his lack of education than proof of infirmity. His actual downfall began not with Richard III, but with Richard's conqueror. In 1485, following the Battle of Bosworth, which ended the Yorkist reign, Henry VII seized the throne. The new king ordered the young earl removed from his home at Sheriff Hutton and locked away in the Tower of London. For Henry, the boy was not a harmless orphan. He was a living symbol of Yorkist legitimacy, one whom rebels could use to unseat the Tudor dynasty. And so the plots began. Disaffected Yorkists whispered that Warwick was the rightful king. Pretenders rose, most famously Perkin Warbeck, who claimed to be Richard, Duke of York, one of the lost princes in the Tower of London. In 1498, Warbeck was imprisoned in the Tower and accused, along with Warwick, of plotting escape and the king's overthrow. Whether Warwick truly conspired is doubtful. His fate may have been decided elsewhere in Spain. Ferdinand and Isabella, the powerful Catholic monarchs, were negotiating the marriage of their daughter, Catherine, to Henry's son, Arthur. But they wanted England's throne secure, free from Yorkist threats. Warwick, innocent or not, was that threat. In November 1499, both Warwick and Warbeck were tried for treason. The verdict was inevitable from the outset of the trial. On the 28th of November, Warwick, just 24 years old, was beheaded on Tower Hill. He was buried at Bisham Abbey. Even in death, his story did not come to an end. His sister Margaret, the last Plantagenet, lived into the reign of Henry VIII, only to be executed in 1541 on dubious charges of treason. Like her brother, she was a casualty of the Crown's relentless need to stamp out rival claims. Edward Plantagenet's life is not only the story of a young nobleman destroyed by politics, but it is a warning from the Wars of the Roses. In an age where kingship was fragile, royal blood was much a curse as it was a blessing. If you'd like to hear more about the forgotten heirs and shadow claimants who haunted the Tudors and Plantagenets, make sure you follow, because Warwick's story is only one of many.